You are streaming live now on YouTube.
All right, welcome everyone. This is June 14th, 2021 meeting of Leestown Sbdm. This will be our final meeting of the 2021 school year. And we are calling this meeting to order at 5:05.
You are streaming live now on YouTube.
Okay. All right, welcome everyone. This is June 14th, 2021 meeting of Leestown Sbdm. Okay, sorry about that. I was getting some feedback. Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right, so call the meeting to order at 5:05, and then just a roll call. Jamie Hoofnagel, teacher representative.
Here.
Lynn Price-Goda, teacher representative.
Present.
Seth Miller, teacher representative.
Present.
Ashley Holt, parent representative. Okay, I don't know if Miss.
I'm here.
Okay. And
I'm here.
Gotcha. And Miss Ronette Wilder, parent representative.
Present.
All right. So opening business. First thing up is approval of minutes from May.
I'd like to approve the minutes for May 10th.
Okay.
This is Ronette Wilder. I second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have approved minutes from May. Second order of business is approval of tonight's agenda for June 14th, 2021.
This is Ronette Wilder. I make a motion that we approve the agenda for tonight, June 14th, 2021.
Okay. Have a second?
This is Seth Miller. I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda has been approved. I don't think we have anybody for public comment tonight. Good news report. Several things happened since the end of the school year. We have been busy getting ready for our summer Ignite. And so far has had a great program, great 4 days last week. We had over 200 students show up throughout the week for our program. And we actually had the largest enrollment going into the summer program of any school in Fayette County. So a lot of our kiddos really wanted to participate and be involved. And we also had WLEX came out last Wednesday, and basically stayed all day for the program, didn't they, Mr. Hoofnagel? They were here for a long time. So then shot a little profile of our program that aired last Wednesday on Channel 8, and it was just really great. If you haven't got to check that out, I think you can still pull that up on WLEX's website. And then the next day we had the district sent their news crew out to cover us. So kids have been great so far. We had Divine Karama here today as a guest speaker. So ran 2 sessions with Mr. Karama, and students had a great time with that. And then on Friday, we have one session that is sponsored by the Lexington Children's Theater Program. So on Friday, they will perform The Wizard of Oz for our students. So Lots of great things going on. You have cooking classes, just all kinds of things planned. So a shout out to Allie Wright, who had planned the entire program so far, and there's a lot of planning because you had to do buses. Basically, it was mini schools is what it's been. And then Mr. Hoofnagel has been assisting her, and we've got a special week planned for our sixth graders coming up as well in a few weeks. Mr. Hoofnagel, you want to tell us a little bit about what you got planned for our sixth graders?
Sure. Basically, what we want to do is just mimic what a school day is going to be like. So kids will be in pods or in their on their teams. Hopefully, we can get that all squared away where they'll rotate amongst the teachers that they'll have during the year. We're going to teach them how to open up lockers. We're going to teach them the school. We're just trying to remove as many barriers as possible so that on day one, they'll start right, on the right foot. So pretty much, and then we have this huge extravaganza planned on the last day. So it's going to be really fun.
So it's basically taking our camp lease down that we used to do in one day and extending it throughout the week. So kids have really loved it so far. And, Monday or Tuesday when we started last week, we had around 200 kids. And then on Wednesday, we had probably 40 more kids that showed up. I guess they kind of talked to all their friends and they'd signed up but didn't know they were coming, and they all came the next day. So
yep, they're still showing up,
yeah.
actually.
It's been a lot of good stuff so far. So next, we also received word on Friday that we did receive silver medal status for our PBIS. That's Positive Behavior Intervention Systems, and that's basically all their systems that kind of run the school and the systems of support we have for students, and systems that basically keep all our students safe. So and you're awarded gold level status, silver level status, or bronze. We were gold last year. We didn't apply for gold this year. We just, there's a lot of steps for gold, and when we were not in person for the entire year, we thought we would try for silver, and we really weren't sure if we would get that just because we didn't have a whole lot of data to report, only being here for a few weeks. But we did earn silver, and we were really happy about that. So that's the good news I have. Anybody else want to add anything? All right, so on to budget report. Do not have anything in terms of Section 6 or school activity funds to report at this meeting because everything's frozen right now. So we're not writing POs. So the budgets are basically the same as what we saw in May. Next meeting is when we'll set up the budget. We've already put the money in the codes for Section 6. So I think we should see that in our July meeting, the first meeting of the new council. You'll just see where those funds have been put in that. So don't have Section 6 and school activity funds to show you for today because they are the same as last meeting, but I do have some information about ESSER funds. So I'm going to share my screen on this one. All right. Thumbs up. Everybody can see that? Okay. I think it was in April or May, basically informed the council that the district would receive ESSER 2 funds, which basically is the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. It's the COVID relief fund that Congress, the federal government had approved several months back. But it looked like that money was basically going to stay with the district, and how it could support schools would be, it would pay for some direct services and some programs that we normally would purchase, but wouldn't have to, okay? Now we find out 2 weeks ago that that's all changed, that schools now will get funds through this relief fund. All right. So just a little bit about what that means. This is just why the federal government had authorized these funds is to provide emergency aid to overcome barriers created by COVID-19. And looking at our MAP scores, we have a lot of barriers to overcome for next year to meet the needs of diverse student groups and to use for specific purposes. What is FCPS? Why for ESSER funds is to provide direct services for students and to identify learning opportunities that accelerate learning and support needs for students, really that's disproportionately affected by the school closure. So, and then basically what you should know about these funds is they're available for 2 years. So the money that I'm going to show you, we will have access to over 2 years. Now, we just found out about this a couple of weeks ago. It's a very tight timeline. And I had several meetings about it last week. And basically, got to have some stuff turned in basically by the end of this week. But it also requires shared accountability. And I'll kind of get into that in a little bit, but we got to basically give assurances that we're going to use these funds to pay for services that fit in the category, okay? And then each school got individual awards. So we have to do a detailed plan for all expenditures. Now, detailed plan for all expenditures, but the good thing is I don't have to turn in a detailed plan for all the money this week. So this should be a living, breathing document that, we spend the money as we need, as the data shows what we need it for. And then when we spend this money, it has to fit into a category. Some of these are examples of what you can spend it on. Resources necessary to address the needs of individual students. So programs that we've used that's been successful for us in the past, Reading Plus, IXLs, all those would be allowable expenditures for these funds. Training and professional development, of course, would be allowable. Planning mental health services and support, planning and implementing activities related to supplemental after school programs. It's a big thing that we were excited about because it kind of helped expand some of these programs that we're doing. And the big thing is addressing learning loss or unfinished learning, okay? Addressing those gaps that we know we have after kids have been at home for pretty much an entire year. That's what we can't spend it on. We can't spend it on basically technology related stuff. Chromebooks, laptops, iPads, speakers, so forth. Chromebooks are being provided by the district. We did receive some upgrades on our teacher computers. I know several of you will be happy for that. So, but we can't use these funds to basically buy technology. Now, this is how it was determined how much a school gets, all right? So it's based on your needs and your student breakdown. So basically, per pupil amount was $116 per pupil, all right? If the student is experiencing poverty, it tacks on, up to $210. Then racial ethnic minorities, $507. English learners, $816. Children with disabilities, $989. That's per pupil that fits into that category. All right. So you can see that based on our area need here, that our funds could be a pretty good amount. schools in Fayette County got anywhere from the lowest amount, I think was $20,000. The highest amount was $800,000. All right.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
does that like, can you double dip in those categories? So if I'm a child with disability and I'm an English language learner, does that get you 17, or is there a formula for that?
Yeah. Okay. Seth, that's a good question. So that would be, I think that that 989 is if you fit into all those categories. So your child, you have IEP, but you're also an English language learner. So then, that would get $989 for that student. I think that's how they put it to us.
I think it is if they see how many English language learners we have. So if there's 20, you take 20 times that many. If
Right.
there's children with disabilities that are 14, you take 14 times 989.
Yeah.
And then the poverty are kids, if it's free and
But-
reduced lunch and all of that. So
But I think what Mr. Miller was saying, so will each student automatically get the 116? And then if you are a child with disabilities, will you still get the 989? Is that what you're saying, both of them?
Yes.
I'm not,
Well,
you do? Okay, I was like, I'm not sure on that. I apologize. I don't know if Mr. Gibson knows that.
okay. So if I'm a sixth grader, just showing up in the building, you'll get $116 for me. But if I'm also at Leestown, where we have 70% free and reduced lunch, then I'm worth $210. I don't have any other. I'm not in any other group but that. But if I'm a student in poverty, ELL, then that could get you up to 816. I don't know. It's kind of hard, but.
Well, it just seems a little confusing because like I could be a free and reduced lunch and not be a racial or ethnic minority,
Right.
but then I
That's
could
why
be
I
on
think-
free and reduced lunch and be a race ethnic minority and be an English language learner, but not be a disability kid. I was just curious. It just seemed like there was a lot of
I think, Mr. Miller, whatever the highest amount that you fall into, if you are just a regular student, there's nothing there, you just get 116. But if you're ELL and disability, you're going to get the 989 for that kid.
Yeah.
If you or whatever. So I think you won't get 116 and the 989. I think it's just whatever the higher amount is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what exactly.
I was just hoping, we always get penalized for No Child Left Behind like 6 times for, maybe this time we'd be rewarded for every category.
Well, okay. When you see this next slide, that's going to go out of
Get ready.
Here we go. That's our funds for 2 years.
So do you get $800,000 again next year, or is that you get to spend for 2 total years?
Yeah, this is over 2 years. So $800,000 over 2 years. So, you can look at it as $400,000 for a year, but once because you can buy staff, that's an allowable expense. But it's basically just, that amount that's going to be over 2 years. And then it'd be gone after that. So I know I probably got a lot of questions out there about that. Now, we're not sure exactly anything we spend. I've got a whole template that I have to put the reasons why in there, and it's got to be able to fit one of those categories that I covered. And then I'm not sure who generates those POs. We've not been told anything about that yet. Like I said, it's kind of a tight timeline. So we're just finding out some things as we go. But we did get the highest amount of any middle school. And we were right up there with some of the high schools that they got that same amount. I think there were maybe 3 schools that got that total. So it's a lot of money to do some things with. Now, some things that we are initially thinking that would be good to do. And again, I'm not going to try to spend $800,000 this summer. And the other things you got to watch, if you buy staffing, you've got to be able to fund those positions in 2 years if you do. So that's some of the things we have to watch. You don't want to go out and just buy a lot of positions because when this money goes away, then something's got to happen. We got to support those positions, or use Title I to help support it some way. But kind of based on some of our needs, these are some of the things that our administrative team had discussed. One thing that we've always wanted to be able to provide is kind of a community liaison for our bilingual families, someone that can kind of help bridge support for those families. Our non-English speaking families, they don't participate in a lot of the surveys and a lot of things that we do here at school. So helping get them involved a little bit more into some of those things, and helping, making sure that they know where to come to when they have support. Also, that community liaison could help seek community partners for us. It would be a bilingual position, so we would look for someone that fits that role. It has to be a certified teacher for that position. I thought it had to be a classified, but it has to be a certified teacher, and it would cost $85,000. Now, that's a pretty good salary for a certified position. It's because it's federal money that there's a lot of add-ons for that in terms of the extras we have to pay. So it doesn't mean that teacher would make that amount. They would make what they would, make, just on their normal tier. But they charge us federal dollars for staffing. So it's going to be a flat charge of that. Intervention teachers, we were able to hire one intervention teacher, or we moved another teacher into that spot. I'll talk more about that during staffing, but 2 math intervention teachers would allow us to have 3 full math intervention teachers. And that's really going to be very important to us over the next couple of years. Our MAP data, we were 30% novice in the spring in 6th and 7th grade, I believe. And then, 26, 27% in 8th grade. Those 8th graders are moving on. So it's the highest rate of novice that we've had in years. So it's going to be very important to have run an intervention program that could really help close some of those gaps. We thought about a blended learning space for our library. It's very close to being a blended learning center anyway. And that could be a space that we could use for extracurricular programs. It would help us get more kids in there in different areas to address learning loss groups. And it just basically be more functional of what we want to use it for. Something like that's a good use of the money because that's a one-time, one-time purchase order. We just write that. That's not something that we have to, that we'll have to worry about in 2 years because the money won't be there. And then, one of the big things was supporting some of your after-school clubs. Kappa Club is the largest boys of color group in the city right now, and its funding has run out. They had a Partners for Youth grant, and with Partners for Youth, you get it one time basically, and when it runs out, they give it to somebody else. So we also want to create a girls group that's very involved. I know Ms. Wilder has been working with some teachers to help out with that. And so we thought of, giving some funds to support both of those clubs, and that would meet the definition of what some of these funds are earmarked for. And if we do those things, we still have $465,000 to use for 2 years. So, and like I said, there's a lot of things we can do with that. I've even talked to Lori Bowen about, if we have a need for instruments for band and orchestra as we grow, so we don't have to share instruments, that could be an allowable expense that we could use money for. And again, that's a one-time deal that you pay for these things and you don't have to pay that again. We've got, health sciences. We're trying to really get that transformed into a program that would feed into some of these high schools. And we've been able to provide some materials for Miss White's class, but I know there's some other things that we could help them with. Some other programs, IXL is a program that's very expensive, but we use a whole lot. That's something that, we could use for these funds. But we just needed a starting point, and the district wanted to have some preliminary ideas, especially if you wanted to use it on staffing, because if that's the case, then they want to be able to let us go ahead and advertise those positions this summer so that we can hire qualified people for them. So questions, comments, concerns? I know it's a lot thrown at you in a short amount of time. It's thrown at us in a short amount of time too. So
you mentioned the 2 math intervention positions, Mr. Gibson. If we get a staff member or 2 on day 4, is there a way you can finagle that so that those positions would be the intervention position and we wouldn't have to spend this money on that? Or do you have to make the commitment going into the school year?
yeah, that's a good question. We've kind of talked about that as well. We also thought that, for instance, if I pay a math intervention teacher off my workbook, it's not going to cost $85,000. So we'd ask some questions if you can kind of go back and forth with some of these workbooks for those, and don't have a definitive answer on that yet. I think the district's still trying to process how the accounting will work for all of this. So I don't know, that could help sustainability after a year if we could, switch it around. So.
And I think, Mr. Miller, for now, the thing is, I think that's why we're in the position, we always, when we get here with math, when we have to, get funding and staffing, those are some of those first positions. And if you look at our scoring, map and our data for math, it's obvious that we don't have intervention to help our students. So I think, if I'm right, Mr. Gibson's trying to get that so we can hire somebody now and not wait till later. The sooner you can try and get people on board,
Yeah.
the better than waiting. I think that, I'm not trying to speak for you, Mr. Gibson, but I think
No.
that's
Yeah, that's totally the case. It's sometimes we go unfilled with these positions because there's just nobody out there in day 4, unless we find somebody that's a retired teacher that wants to come in. But having these, that we can advertise here, in June or July would let us have a better chance of getting a qualified person.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if you could roll it over somehow with that, because I agree with you. I think last year we weren't able to fill a position. That's why we had the 2 positions
Right.
available in January. So I 100% there. I just was curious if there was any way to do that.
What other questions do we have?
I see where you had the 60 for the library. I know Miss Edie was asking for more money for her books.
Uh-huh.
Is this part of like bringing her books up to speed, what she was asking for, or is this just for the space?
Yeah, this would just be transforming our library into that blending learning space.
Okay.
What that is, it's when they renovated, the middle of the library is there's 2 walls there that's separating where a computer lab would have been, like a mini computer lab. And it just that's back when you had, these big heavy devices and you needed a dedicated space for a computer lab. And we don't need that now. So it would be, taking up those walls out, updating this carpet and the bookshelves. The bookshelves would be put on wheels so that we could roll those around and just open it up. We could have, the choir could do a concert there, orchestra could do a concert there. I mean, it would truly transform that into a very usable space. We're a little bit behind on those right now. Crawford had started transforming their library into that this year at Edith J. Hayes and Lafayette High School. And what they did is they cashed in positions to do it. We wouldn't have to do that with this. It's money that came through at the right time.
So could we use some of this money to like help get the library books up to par?
Yes.
Or can we not? Okay.
Yeah.
And Ms. Wilder, we also, it wasn't this money, but we used some of our end of the year, some of our Section 6, our carry forward funds to help start part of that transformation. We have, ordered some different furniture because, we still have the old time big wooden tables and stuff. So now we've got a little bit more flexibility with that.
Oh, yes, the heavy furniture.
Yeah, so we've already started to help, with using some school funds. So this was just nice to have these funds to help, continue something like that. So it doesn't have to be drawn out over 3 years.
Right.
Something happen and be finished. And so I'm sure when we figure out the other stuff, when we get our other funding, like the Section 6, I'm sure there'll be money set aside for books. We always do things like that. So I'm sure she'll get some money there as well.
We paid for Reading Plus and that kind of stuff out of Section 6 or Title I this year, Mr. Gibson, because we weren't sure, right? Is that the case?
Yeah, we went ahead and I think we already filled out that subscription for Reading Plus, did we, Ms. Meegans?
Yes, sir, we did.
Yeah. And I think that came out of Title I. We did purchase Talking Points, which we've been using that for summer school. That's great. So, but that's something we already had purchased. So, but next year, we will have access to this money to buy a lot of those programs. iExcel is something that a lot of teachers like to use, and it's expensive. We got a free trial with it this year just because of the pandemic. But this would allow us to purchase iExcel for the school again. So I don't have that on this initial plan. The district just wanted some ideas of some things, especially if you wanted positions. That's why we had the positions on there. And then I know that there's been some meetings for the girls group to get it started, and there's some big ideas for that. And then if we want, to do that, transform our library into that space, then we want that work to take place over July, so it's ready when we get back into the building. So that's why we had some of these listed initially here, just because it's kind of time sensitive.
Is there a way with things like iExcel to gauge demand amongst the different schools in the district? Because if there's 58 of the 60 some schools want to have iExcel, is it cheaper for the district to purchase a license for that kind of thing than it is individually? I mean,
yeah, it would be, Seth. To be honest, the district had went with Imagine Learning, which is a different program, and so it was kind of one or the other, and that's kind of who they had went with. I know iExcel, they were really pushing hard in their district. They wanted that, they wanted that account basically, but Imagine Learning is who we're going with right now. And that's, stuff that we use as well. We don't pay for that. The district pays for that. iExcel seemed to work better for some teachers than what the Imagine Learning did. So
yeah, that's what they used at Sandersville. That's what my kid used. They used Imagine Learning with them. So
yeah, it's really popular in the elementary schools, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, iExcel, as in science, we weren't like overwhelmed with iExcel. I mean, we think it was amazing just because it doesn't correlate that great to like our curriculum. But I know like math and some of the other subject areas, it was good. So I just was curious, like how, it's not, sometimes it seems like we pull individually at schools to do stuff and the district would have some kind of overreaching plan, which there may be, but it's hard to know when you're down on the ground level looking up. So.
And then, you're right, math and language arts really that's the content areas that use IXL a whole lot. I'm not sure science and social studies used it that much. We had that free trial this year that had all the content areas. So I'm not sure that's what we would go with if we choose to purchase IXL, or we may just do so many seats. I'm not sure, but
yeah. Well, I mean, Imagine Learning, that's what they did with Sanders. It was math and reading. So
yeah.
Those are the areas that they focused on.
So earlier you were talking about a tight timeline. Do you have a document with that, or when do you need to start making decisions?
Well, I need by the 18th.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
You know how that goes, Lynn.
Yes.
Yeah, by Friday the 18th, I got to have the final version of what I want as far as right now. Okay. So these are the things that we were starting with because, they are time sensitive, areas because, the library, if we don't start that on the library, then it will not be ready when school starts. It's going to take a little bit to get all those books taken down and, pulled out for what they need to do. Intervention teachers, if we're trying to fill these in August, we're not going to find anybody. Same thing with the community liaison. That seems to be a popular position as well. We're not the only school that's trying to add that. So,
hey, Mr. Gibson, along with that community liaison thing, I saw in the PTSA feedback that about parents survey stuff. One of the things that we had an area of weakness was like bilingual signs.
That's exactly what, one of the areas that this position would be for is to help with those things. And
we buy things like that from this money too, or does it have to come someplace else?
No, we could buy from this money. Community liaison person would help us identify what we need to, focus our efforts on. But even that, some of the feedback from the parents on that survey, we don't send the materials out in, different languages. So, this could help with that, of course.
So do you need us to vote on anything related to this, or?
I think, and that, they never were clear on this either. I don't know if you got that, Ms. Meekins, when we kept asking about Sbdm approval. I think what we would do is vote to accept the funds, because we could turn the funds down. I don't know how you want to, but
Someone did ask that question, remember?
yeah. Well, it's a lot of work I'm going to tell you, it's a lot of work on my end right now because there is a lot of paperwork. So if we accept the funds, then what you guys will get as site-based members is in your email, they will send you an assurance document that's just going to say that, you understand that the funds could be used for these purposes that you sign. Everybody would have to sign that or they don't release any of the funds to us. So
will they send it to us or to the incoming Sbdm?
Well, yeah, I went ahead and put the current council members on there because we got it now. So, and it may be something that I have to do again for the next council as well.
Okay.
So
did you put you an assistant in here to help you with all the paperwork?
It's a good point.
Yeah.
With the community liaison, like in the past, like Seth was talking earlier, if we don't find someone to fill the position, a quality candidate, can we change your mind?
Yes, great question, Lynn. Yes, you are not bound by this because these are additional positions. So if we don't find anybody out there, then we just go a different direction with the initiative on that plan. So,
I mean, I would imagine one, you're creating it as you go, but it would be a difficult position to fill to start with. It'd have to be a special person.
yes, it would have to be. And there, you know, we do know of a few people out there that would fit, you know, fit the criteria that we will be looking for. But like I said, I know of a couple other schools that are adding the same position as well. So they might not be out there when we're trying to get them. So yes, we're not bound to anything that, you know, if I put it in the plan, that's what we say we're going to use it for. But if we can't find those qualified people, then, you know, we would use it for something else. And really, we're going to learn as we go on this. This will probably be something that we'll have to look at, or the new council will look at, you know, every meeting along with those Section 6 funds and student activity funds.
So maybe can we make a motion to accept the funding? Mr. Gibson?
Yeah, I think the motion to accept the funding and maybe to proceed with the plan ideas that we presented
Okay.
tonight.
Does that need to be two separate motions then, or can it be one?
I can type it as one if you say it as one.
Okay. Anybody want to take this one on? Price go to.
I was to accept the money, but I always want to think through. But if we're allowed to change our mind later, then I would like to make a motion, one, to accept $800,000 to better support our students and to move forward with the plan as presented by Mr. Gibson.
I second.
All in favor?
This is Miss Wilder. Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so we will, I'll get this turned in and then we'll kind of start with this process. And again, we'll update the new council when we start with that council in July. So, all right. Staffing update is next. We have been interviewing, it just seems like every day. So far what we've had, and I can update the ones that have been finalized in terms of with HR. So we do have math teachers. Miss Audrey West is going to move into the one math intervention position. So Hannah Sloan has been hired to take the place 6th grade content math. And then Latrina Cooper has been hired for 7th grade math. Special education, we had some interviews for that, but we're kind of back at the drawing board, so it is still open. Social studies, we did have a qualified candidate. He has accepted, but the paperwork's not finalized with that one yet, so I'll update that hiring next council. And of course, this week we are looking for some administrative spots, and we start those interviews tomorrow and Wednesday. So another thing that we are able to do, and we've been needing this for a long time, is some bilingual help in the office. I got, once the staffing all went through, we had some extra money staffing wise that we could use for something. And I've talked to Piper several times, and it will buy us basically another clerical person in the front office. And we can designate it just as bilingual. Front office, I mean, we always have to try to get Elva or Mr. Jesus to come and translate, and that's really slows down our efficiency in the front office. This would allow us to use another person in there. Hopefully, if we can find them the bilingual person, then we would not have to use Mr. Jesus and pull Mr. Jesus and Miss Elva away from their positions to help do this. So now it may mean that I transition some of our office workers right now to a different role, but I think this would be a good thing. So would everybody be in favor of using the extra Section 6 or section 4 would be because of staffing money to pay for a bilingual office help.
Absolutely. As somebody that's in the front office every morning, I mean, Miss Elba doesn't come in until 9, and if she comes in early, there's a line of parents waiting for her. And as you indicated, that's not her regular job.
Right.
And I don't think Mr. Jesus gets called in because that's in the middle of the day, but
Right.
I mean, that's filling a huge need, absolutely, for that.
Okay. Yeah, it would. I'm really happy to be able to do that. Now we've got to find the right person, but that will really help us out in the front office. So we would just need a motion, I guess, to add the bilingual clerical position.
I'll make a motion to add the bilingual clerical person. This is Hoofnagel.
All right.
And I
Mr.
can
Miller.
say, I
Bryce,
beat
go
you.
ahead.
Already unmuted.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. So we will get that advertised, and that's another interview you guys can help us out with. All right. So let's see where I'm at on the agenda. PD plan for the school year. I think I sent this to everyone. Trying to pull this up. Maybe I can pull it. All right. Every year I was turning in just a PD plan of what we feel like we will do school-wide for the year. Right now, Clarity for Learning is going to be a big push from the district. We have already been trained. I had one session for administrators, and we thought that we could do this maybe for 3 hours, half a day, on August 9th. I think that's our first PD day back. And then PLC is going to be another big push for the district this year. And we have some work that we want to do with PLCs. We're thinking of that might be last half of the day on 8-9 right now, but that still might be moved and sprinkled throughout. But we're going to go ahead and designate it for that right now. If that changes, if that's perfectly okay. So those are the PDs that we will specify for teachers, and then we leave it open for the rest of those hours for teachers to have PD in their content area, or if there's specific technology professional development that they want to do. So any questions regarding the PD plan? No questions, then we could have a motion to pass that. Once it passes, I turn it into Ms. Prozgoda. She's our PD chair. So.
What is Clarity for Learning in a nutshell?
Yep, Clarity for Learning, good question. It's success criteria, and you probably see that on your walkthroughs that you get. It's, I think the question 1 on the walkthrough is about learning targets and then success criteria. So basically it's how we write our learning targets now. We're going to have to add success criteria to that. It's not going to be a big shift from what we do. We've already been doing language objectives. So it's just about shifting how we would use those language objectives and turn them into the success criteria. So
After the PD, could we add teacher work time to implement?
yes, that's why initially we had PLC on that day too. And that's what we were saying, that we may not squeeze that one in there on that day, but we're just not sure yet. So.
And is this something that will be continued to be like supported through like in school and after school?
Yes, there'll be part of our faculty meetings. We'll have some we'll cover it some. And then also, when we have embedded PD, we'll focus on that as well. So we do have a teacher impact group that Ms. Wright has put together. That's going to kind of lead some of this work for us. The PD on August, though, would be from the district. Adam Stevens is coming out to kind of give us just kind of a summary of what it is. And once he presents it, he presents it in a very concise way. And, I think that 3 hours, we'll get a lot out of that, and we'll kind of know what the expectations for that success criteria will be. So.
Then I would motion to accept the PD plan for the 2021-2022 school year.
Okay.
This is Ms. Wilder. I second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, so I will I'll send this to Ms. Prasgoda, then I have to turn it into human resources. All right. All right, so next is dress code 2122. Ms. Meekins, I know we kind of looked at this several times, and I think we've got a good plan going forward.
Right. So after our last meeting, I know Lynn brought it up, and one of the things that Mr. Gibson pointed out is that it's not necessarily a council meeting. We can look at it and then share, council decision or however it goes, but we can look at some things and come back. So in that time, Erica Stevenson was really great. She sent some information about some schools that had these gender neutral dress codes. One was a big thing that was passed. So we looked at that, looked through some things there. And so what we have come up, do you have that, Gibson, or do I need to have it up? Sorry.
Yeah, I just looked at, I don't have that.
Okay, give me just a second. I apologize. But what we attempted to do was kind of take what we had, look at what they said, and just kind of merge that so that it was something there. So I think now, hold on, let me go down to this. There's some other things on the page, so I'm attempting to fix this so that you don't have to see everything there. Okay. Okay, we are seeing the screen, correct? All right. So we just took what our dress code said and then just kind of added some things and took things out. So here's kind of where we ended up. And so I will just kind of go through just some of the highlights or different things that are there. The thing about wearing the pants at the waist, so no underwear, undershorts are visible. That's always been on there. The shoulder straps, I think before it just said something about jerseys and tank tops needed a sleeved undershirt. So now it just has the shoulder straps, tops with the shoulder straps. Let's go down. A big thing now, the rips and tears above the knee must be covered with no visible skin. So that's kind of the things there with above the knee. It still has the sweatshirts and tops without a hood. And then the student IDs must be worn above the waist with a picture visible. So you know how the kids want to put them in their pocket and do things there. It needs to be, it should ideally be around their neck, but if they have a clip or something there because they can't wear it around their neck, that's fine. That's above the waist. So the unacceptable clothing, the length again, and this was a hard thing because it's hard when you say, just do your arms, how everybody wants to shrug their arms. That's one of those hard things to do. And then you're like, relax your arms, do that. So there are some other places also that have that. That's where we actually got the idea of the width of the dollar bill, because we saw that on another thing. And that's just an easy thing. It's not like, your arms are longer than this and this. And, you go between that stuff there. This is just something that's very concrete. Everyone knows what a dollar bill and the width is. The unacceptable clothing there, if you see the obscenities, things like that, hats and bandanas, combs, house shoes, and then just the hoodie. So, and then pajamas and blankets. So you will see that one thing that's not on there anymore are about the leggings. That's no longer on there. So that kind of makes it more gender neutral. It's not a boy girl type thing. So if they're wearing leggings, you know, because usually boys don't wear leggings. So that kind of makes, I mean, they may, but that's just something there. And then the thing about the tops, when people were saying like the tank tops, it was one thing about the jerseys, and then making sure everyone follows the width, I mean, the length of their pants. Those are a couple things that were the highlights there.
I like that you can have a tear in your knee of your jeans and not have it be a problem.
Right. So
That's good too.
Yes. And so the ones that are below, so, you know, I guess if they have like the shorts on, you know, if they have tears at whatever and they have shorts underneath, that's fine. And if they're below there, so that's, you know, one less battle. And Seth, I know you were here at that time. I don't know if Lynn, when I first came, it was like if they had any type of tears or rips in the jeans, and people were looking for frays, and it was just, we spent so much time like, oh, there's a fray, and you're like, oh, please stop. And you know, we moved past that into, hey, just put something underneath it. Uh-oh, sorry. Did you all see that? My computer was about to stop.
Yeah, mine did too.
Okay, I'm like, sorry, I got to get off from there.
It was the shutdown. So
Okay, I didn't want that to happen.
you want to pull it back up in case there's any questions?
Oh, okay. Yes, I got all nervous. Hold on. Yes. Okay. But any questions?
So when it comes to the, I'm sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, you're fine. I was like, I know Mr. Miller acknowledged the thing about the rips and stuff that are now like
Yeah.
above the knee.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, I had one of our Miss Meek is one of my first peer students last year. One of our buddies there, he had those, and he just put shorts on that were shorter, and was like, "I beat the system," you know. And I was like, "Yep," you know. And so I think that's a good solution. I was going to ask you, with the student ID with picture visible, can they have stickers on the badge as long as their face is visible? Or are they?
Okay.
What about pins on their neck thing? I mean, I just was curious about all of the.
Okay, well, here's what's funny. So this actually goes out with the dress code and then the supply in here. So if you look here at the ID, and this goes out every year, you know, for the last 3 years now. It talks about not having that, you know, it has to be worn around, and we need to talk there around the neck. We have allowed, if it's a problem with someone's neck, they can do a little clip, one of those type things. It does talk about outside of the jacket, remain free of stickers, markings, and other things. So what's happening is some have put like an old picture on top of it and things. So we've asked that they don't do that. And this is kind of one of the district things. We got several of these things from other schools in the district that have, hey, because, you know, when they're marking up their face and they don't do, then you can't tell who is. And, you know, we've got some kids who've switched badges just to be funny.
And, yeah, I know that they've not had a student picture now in 2 years. So their 8th graders, they still have the 6th grade picture for our incoming 8th graders. So, but you know, that's just the way it is right now. So,
but I was talking about this with you earlier. We took pictures in, not last year, obviously, but we took pictures the year before that. Is that going to get updated to Infinite Campus?
I don't know. You know, it should have already been, but you're right. I mean, it's
that's true. We don't know. I mean, we're not the ones who update that, but yeah, some of the kids still have old pictures in there, and that's hard. Maybe Mr. BK can work on that this summer, talking to the people. I just made that up.
Maybe.
BK could draw some pictures in.
Yes, and color in between the lines.
Other questions? Sorry. Seth, does that answer your question about the badges? Does that
It's fantastic. You read
Okay.
my mind.
So, yeah, we figured we'd put, BK will put this in the letters that go home to parents so that they have all of this in one page. So they know the supply list, they have the dress code, and then they also know the expectation with the badges. We just try and put that multiple places because we feel like those are important things that we like for people to know before they come. And it's like we send it out. It's also going to be the agenda book. It's going to be multiple places. But
Do you think since these are behaviors, Mr. Gibson, and going along with our PBIS and posters in the hallway, would it make sense to have in each team common area a poster of those two things, maybe as a reference point or a conversation point or a referral point?
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I can make some of those, nice posters that we use there, that we have our other expectations on. Are you talking about just a supply list or the badge? The bullet points with the badges or what?
Yeah, I think the badges and the dress code, because they kind of go together.
Yeah.
Or dress code, and then we could add a line on the badge or something.
right, and maybe those would be like the posters that are in classrooms. I just worry about making the those big hallway posters because if anything ever changes,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking if we, because think about like our Colt team area, right? We have like a least time weight poster on the one wall, and then we have, like your schedule one you gave us this year. I think we put on the other wall, and we could just pull a kid in the hallway and say, "Hey, man, look, here's the poster. This is the thing," and I think that's helpful. And also, they look at stuff in the hallway when they're waiting for kids to get in class. I don't know. I was just thinking of being a good PBIS structure.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So however we wanted to, it could be in the classroom, however you wanted to do it, that'd be a good.
Yep.
To get a bunch of those, since it's all the classrooms, that wouldn't be much to do the district printing office. I don't know if you all know, we do have a new poster maker in the building. So, ooh. But it wouldn't be to make that many things. It's not for that large quantity like that. We're trying to print something for 40 classrooms.
All right. So any other questions, or if not, we would just a motion to accept changes in student dress code for 21-22.
This is Mr. Miller. I will motion to accept student dress code changes for 21-22. And if anybody has a problem with that, I won't be on the council next time, so you can blame me.
Well, I will second that motion. Bryce Goda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we will get that out to the, and that will be in the student agenda books as well. So
that means I can actually mail this or send the email to them tomorrow because I've been waiting to be able to send this off. And so, yes, now I'm like, okay, copy, paste, send. Because she's like, I need this. I was like, well, we need a meeting first. We're going to talk. So thank you.
we don't have any field trips or PD requests or fundraisers. So it would take us back to agenda items for July. So we just kind of leave that blank because it's a new council. And it looks like we should probably be able to, those of you that are returning on the council as council members, we will probably be live in session in July. So I think that will be good. I don't have to worry about all the studio stuff I've had to worry about. So, but with that,
Gibson,
yes, go ahead.
One more thing. Miss Edie is watching live. I just want to let you all know, and she is messaging me. And I feel like you did talk about Talking Points is live, that we did purchase that, correct?
Yes, I mentioned it, but it is live, and we we'll probably need to get maybe something out to all team leads and all teachers. All teachers can use that now, so we can find some time there to start a school to show everybody how to work that. So
yeah, I think that would be a thing, just a small, it wouldn't take long, a little PD just to make sure everyone's familiar with how to use and go there. And the way we purchased it, and Edie knows more, you can set up classes. Before it was something different, and I don't know if it syncs or what, but it would be really good now. And someone can be like an administrator and send it out. You know, we send out IC messages. You can send out group messages like that through talking points, which goes directly to people's phones and not necessarily to their email.
Right.
So
And
that's
it's two-way communication too. So, the families can get in touch with you quick. So, all right. Mr. Miller, thank you for all the years on council. I know you will not be returning to the council next year. And Miss Wilder and Miss Holt, thank you all as well. It's been great working with you guys, and good luck in high school. Well, Miss Holt will be back with us for as a parent though. So
right.
Thanks for
I'm sorry,
taking the
we-
minutes, Miss Meekins.
Thank you, Mr. Hoofnagel. I
Miss
appreciate
Meekins
that.
will be leaving our council as well. So
Your secretary.
right, so.
I apologize. Did I get agenda items for July or did I just miss?
That's just new council items. So, it's just be, you can just put policies and bylaws for that. All right. We would just need a motion to adjourn at 6:10.
This is Mr. Miller. I motion to adjourn at 6:10 Eastern Standard Time.
This is Miss Wilder, and I second.
I'm trying to stop YouTube now. Hopefully it's off. Thank you guys so much. I know it's been kind of an up and down school year, and seems like every meeting we had a new plan to approve. And then I would end up tearing that plan apart because we had another plan we had to work on. But you guys have been great to work with, and thank you so much for your service to Leestown Middle School.
And I'm sorry, Miss Holt had typed her phone was dying and she didn't have a charger. So she had messaged me and I was supposed to let you all know. So I apologize, but she was here for a while and she was like, I'm going to get this last vote. Just let them know. So I wanted you to know that. Sorry.
All right.
I'm multitasking. That's why my camera was off because it was like between Miss Edie, not sure. No, you're still live on YouTube, Gibson. It says it on my thing.
Okay.
On,
I don't know how to turn it off, but we'll get it turned off. But
no
I get
worries.
in the Zoom. So thank you guys.